Saturdays are for the boys. That is what this podcast, the name of it is. Does it mean anything with swimming? No, not really. It just sounds like a pretty good podcast title. But you know how it is. We're here again. First swimmer on the reboot or the reunion, whatever you want to call it. He's an NCAA finalist from this past year, an All-American from Leeds, Alabama. We got Mason Mathias. It is great to finally talk to you, good sir. How are we today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
This is exciting, man. This is exciting. So Jonathan, we talked about this for a bit. But I just recently was looking at your swim cloud and I was just blown away about how fast you are, dude. I was just wow, this guy is quick. So this is exciting. It's great to have you.
So my first introduction to you, obviously, you, Patrick, he's still he's one of the assistant coaches at Auburn.
Right.
Goes very deep with us, with the Oklahoma crowd.
Sure.
When I was at U.S. Olympic trials, I didn't really know who to cheer for. We only had a handful of Oklahoma swimmers really going out there. Obviously we had Aiden Hayes, Ryan Healy out of Michigan. He was over there. And I was just I want to just keep track of something and just feel like I'm a part of something. So I reached out to Patrick and I'm like, hey, what if I just became an Auburn fan for a week while I'm at trials? And he just said, sure, go for it. He told me specifically, and I did do that. He told me specifically, look out for Mason Mathias and the lineup that he is gonna do. And obviously, so I was a distance swimmer whenever I was in my tenure as a swimmer.
Yes, sir.
So obviously I resonated immediately.
Right.
But then I saw the lineup that you did and the fashion that it went about. Because you had the 400 free, the 200 free, the 200 fly, and the 800 4 days in a row.
That's right. Yeah.
And that was your first trials. That's insane.
Yeah, it was an experience for sure. A little bit shell-shocked the first day, and I think I got used to it as the meet went on, but it was crazy, especially to go there and swim those 4 events. And the fact they were all at the beginning of the week was just, when the hype was the most real. That first day was crazy when Gresham Wallace that night broke the world record.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of the probably the coolest swim meet I've ever been to. So
I agree, especially since I was in 2016 for trials when I was 13 years old, went there for a trip, and seeing just how you're in a football stadium and it completely blows it out of the water.
Yeah.
So cool.
Just describe your experience at trials. Obviously it's your first trials, so probably this one was a little different too. Probably the biggest trials meet the country's had. So describe how you were feeling, your emotions or headspace, just how was that week for you?
I was kind of a whirlwind. I think going into it, I was super excited. I was because in 2021 I had missed it in the summer in the 2 fly by I think 0.3, and I swam the 2 fly 3 times that weekend, and I think I was in between 0.3 and 0.5 all of it, or all times, and I was all right. So that was kind of frustrating, but to go there and this time have 4 swims and know that I was about to compete in 4 races kind of was super exciting. Not many people get the chance to compete in Olympic trials versus a few events, so that was just so cool. And then going into the meet, I was okay, there's always that hope, okay, maybe you have that, not unicorn swim, but maybe you have that perfect, great swim, and you can put something together and compete. And we see these guys, or I see these guys at NCAAs, and they're all these top names. I've been swimming against them for years, and they're definitely the elite of the elite, but it's just fun to be able to say, okay, maybe I can compete with them. So that was kind of the headspace, what can I do? I'm gonna go in there, have as much fun as possible, and then getting there was when it actually hit me, and it gets pretty surreal, and you're oh, this is bigger than I ever expected. And was really cool because so few times you see swimming as a show, but that time it did. It felt and it was really cool. I liked the fact that it was, and so that was kind of an adjustment. And I'm a guy that usually gets out of the pool and is behind the blocks only 5 minutes before. And so having a ready room where I've got to be in there 10 to 15 minutes was kind of an adjustment. But I think the whole headspace was just kind of enjoy the moment. I think I got there, and my whole family got to come, and I was sitting there. I remember the first time we got in the pool and we were like swimming. I was swimming backstroke under the huge jumbotron, and I'm like, just trying to soak it all in because it was surreal. And so every race I kind of took that the same way. I mean, you're out there. They only have those 8 swimmers. You get to walk out by yourself with your heat, and it's just kind of enjoy the moment. And as I swim pretty well, I was running on my best times at a few events, and I maybe wasn't the best performance I could have had, or a little more performance I wanted, but overall, like 10 out of 10 experience. Like I said, that first night, like you walk in, you set the world record for the biggest swim meet that we've ever had on planet Earth, and it's like, oh, this is crazy. This is so cool.
Did you ever see that picture of like whenever everybody had their lights off after the fact?
Yes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that was so fun being a part of that.
Yes.
And I love what you said, like how like that meet is kind of a show, and I kind of feel like, especially with college swimming and what like some of the like entities of college swimming and some of the teams are trying to be, or it's like trying to put on that show so it does have more support. And I really feel like we're really going in that direction in the sport. And
I agree. Yeah.
And I love that. I love that like swimming is just I felt this way about swimming my entire life. Like if you can make it as close to the show as you possibly can, like especially for distance events, like I do also want to ask, like because I'm like a nerd about like minuscule tech and like technologies it's using in swim. Did they have counters at the bottom of the pool at trials?
They did not. Not there. Yeah.
Cause I saw that they've had it at meets before, but it's just kind of like how big of like a game changer is that?
I'm sure that would be huge, because I don't even know if I would notice it though, because sometimes when I'm looking back on a lot of races, I don't know if I'm looking at the bottom of the pool. It's kind of like second nature to see the tee to get into your flip, and so it's like I don't know if I pay attention to that. I kind of am used to looking up a little bit for that the distance races, so I don't know, but I think that'd be really cool.
It's like I needed that. I had a hard time counting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, me too. I would get lost.
Yeah, I feel like that. I don't know, because I think they implemented that in Rio for the Olympics. I don't know if they did it in Tokyo. I think they do it for the Olympic Games, but like it definitely would be a game changer. But yeah, like what you said, a lot of people are just used to like subconsciously looking up for that counter, that number or whatever.
Yeah.
So like it would be like, I don't know, I feel like that would be trippy. I've never. Sorry, go ahead.
I thought it would just be different. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like you the number's there on the ground, like you don't have to look up. So, but yeah, no, trials is great. I like your lineup is super impressive. I'm a sprinter, so I don't have to do anything close to that, but that just makes me.
That's your whole practice now.
Yeah, it literally that's my whole taper, dude. My whole taper lineup right there. But it just makes me respect like distance swimmers and like mid-distance swimmers even more, because y'all have to do a lot more and your lineups are much more taxing. So definitely respect to you for that, especially your first trials. That is quite the showing.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so
they're taxing in a different way though.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Sprinters too, because we've done every now and then we consider it a luxury in our distance group. We'll go down and do a sprint set every now and then, or not a full sprint, but like even just kind of long sprint or mid distance, and it's like you finish that set and you're gassed. So
yeah, it is different for sure. Different shifting gears.
It's like a separate aerobic capacity, even though like they share the same, but it's through like you're either pacing or you're going all out, or both sometimes.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to shift gears towards that, like training kind of, or just Auburn in general, because Auburn. Right. Y'all are on the up and coming. Y'all are doing great, and it is exciting to watch. So I just want to like dive into Auburn as a whole, like training, team culture, all of the above. Just how has that experience been for you?
Better than I could have imagined. I always tell like comments like I love talking about Auburn and I love talking about engineering. Those are kind of the two things I'm really involved in.
Yeah.
And I think like the biggest thing when I came here was like I didn't necessarily know all the goals that we would set eventually, and like trajectory that our team would be on. But I remember coming in freshman, I'm like, all right, I just want to make the SEC team. And then that freshman year, we had a goal meeting, and it's like, all right, the seniors kind of led us that year, and they're like, no, we can do more than this. Like, you should be striving for more. And ever since then, we've kind of like, with the whole new staff, we've got Coach Ryan Wakamerka, and him and his staff that he's put together kind of have led us in a direction that they've gotten me and the rest of our team to believe in that we can do more than we ever thought. And that's been kind of like the coolest thing to me. And I love having that little bit of chip on your shoulder, like, and we have something to chase. And so I think training, it's like ever since freshman year, we've been going at it with that mindset. Like, we're trying to get back to, we swim in a pool where we have NCAA championship banners galore just hanging above us. And it's like, the goal is to bring those back one day and have the SEC championship banners and all that stuff. And it's like, in a pool where we see all that every day, it's hard not to want to chase it and be one of those people again. And so, like, I love it. I think that we always keep that in mind a lot in our practices. We're like, we'll have, like, when we make our team goal meeting at the beginning, we have a sheet that we exit the locker room, we'll hit, and like, you have to tap it before you go out, and it has our team goals on it. So that will do everything in my power to reach these goals today. And it's like the camaraderie and the buy-in of everybody. We have 44 guys on the team, and it's like, we're all bought into it. And it's like, I think that's very rare. And I think to find a group of guys, not only that we're bought in and we're teammates on the pool deck, but like when you go to talk about team culture, like, we hang out all the time. Like, I'm about to go, once I finish this study session, I'm probably about to go watch the second half of the Auburn game with some buddies and just chill out. So, I mean, we hang out all the time. If you have any specific questions, that was kind of just a ramble, but
I mean, we love it. We love the passion coming through, like, especially talking about, like, especially knowing, like, the changes in the SEC and, like, knowing who's coming in, Texas, obviously, and knowing how big of a deal that they are going to make the SEC. Like, even a bigger deal for swimming, like, because there is, like, an argument, we talked about it last time, kind of how the SEC is probably going to be they were already the conference of swimming now. And, like, it was, like, either them or the ACC, but even then, it's like, the SEC might just be it now.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I think it's been crazy to see from freshman year to, I guess now I'm senior, but I'll see it at senior SECs, how much it's changed and how fast that meet has gotten.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's one of I remember walking into the deck of freshman year SECs, and it's one of those meets before you go to Olympic trials that it kind of shifts your mindset. Oh, this is what a meet can be, because they've got every team brings a whole section. Every team's going loud, and in the final session, you're shaking. I remember shaking on the block for my first C final, and I was like, oh, this is crazy.
You talk about that sense of brotherhood, and obviously, like, the distance group is, like, getting more and more stacked as it's coming in, because you got Grant Davis, Michael Bonson, the new blood with James Allison, Isaac Lee. Like, yes. You are now a senior, and, like, could you describe for me, like, kind of how that brotherhood through, like, maybe more specifically the distance group has strengthened within the last few years?
Oh my goodness. Those are the guys I will go to bat for any day. We're, as a distance group, we always more. We're always in the pool a little bit longer, doing a little bit longer sets. And coming in, me and Grant are in the same class. We've been training partners and since the freshman year. And then after freshman, sophomore year, we started catching up to Michael, and we all got really fast. And then all of a sudden, this became like this. Specifically sophomore year, we got all really close because we were training so hard and so, like, gung-ho together. Like, every day we'd be going at it. We like to chirp a little bit, but it's very, very supportive between all three of us. We know each other. And then we've even got a junior who's pretty close to us too. His name's Drew, and we train hard with him. And we love, like, we always talk crap to the other groups. We're like, oh, distance group is the best group.
As you should. Should.
Yeah, of course. And so, like, we have that, I think, really, I don't know, there's an element too, because we all know, I think what's cool is we all know our race strategies, each other's race strategies, how we swim it, and how we all need to improve. So we're able to push each other on that. And I think that's super cool. And then we got really lucky in that all our personalities mesh really well. So those are some of the guys that I hang out with the most, actually, outside the pool. So, I mean, I think the camaraderie and brotherhood, specifically in distance group, is just shown because I remember these sets that we kind of like look back on. It's like, oh, we completed that one, and it's like those are the things that you look back on, and I'm gonna remember those forever because I completed with those dudes doing these things. And then you'll see like Michael's throwing down a 200 for time at the end of practice and just absolutely obliterates, and it's like, okay, how do you that gets me fired up. So
I mean, there's nothing hyper than that.
Right, exactly. And so I don't know, we all are close, we all love, and we're all cheering for each other all the time. And we have we always say in distance group, because in dual meets we're small, so we usually line up all of us in the races, 1,500, and it's like we do not care the order, but we are only going for Auburn caps. Like Auburn caps should be leading the way. So we love racing, and I don't know. Hopefully that answered the question.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I love that. That is so great. That is literally what a championship team like needs. Like that camaraderie, that like having a training group like that, I feel like is like optimal. That is how to maximize success. That is like so great. And I think it's also just great for Auburn in general, because if you think of Auburn, like historically, they're one of the better schools for swimming, but a lot of it is like sprint success. So like the fact that we're starting to see distance success come from Auburn is even more exciting. You know, it's starting to branch out. So me personally, as like a swim nerd, that is really exciting, and that makes me like really happy to hear. So
appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, the distance group might be leading the way, or we were at one point, but now I think we've got it's pretty cool because we have a huge freshman class, and it's cool to see every group kind of come along and come into their own, especially as a senior after being here and watching the team for 4 years. It's like, wow, it's how much has changed and how much we're shifting towards that. So
it's always something interesting to see, especially since I've been like looking into teams and kind of studying up for what we could be seeing like later down the line for this season, seeing like just not the ways they go to recruit, but more specifically the numbers they do gather. And specifically see like these incoming freshmen like really do make these teams as powerful as they can be, and they become the future. They become the people who are relied on. That being said, like whenever you were in high school swimming, was Auburn initially like the team where like, oh yeah, I'm going here just 100%?
It was not.
Really? Okay.
I think, yeah, I had grown up swimming this pool, and I knew it was always one of the fastest pools, one of my favorite pools I ever swam at. And it was kind of happened by not luck, but like at the time the staff was the most interested in me, and a lot of other factors. When COVID happened my junior year, so that was when recruiting was going on. And so like all the factors considered, I kind of said, okay, I think Auburn's going to be the best decision for right now for me. And I was excited to go, but like I said, when I answered your question earlier, like it has turned out infinitely better than I've ever expected. I think when I was initially looking into swimming, I didn't think I could come to a program like this. Like especially my junior year, my breakout meet was winter junior, so that was on the later side of the recruiting. And so like when you're looking at schools and you're emailing coaches, and it's like, okay, yeah, here's some times that you can aim for before we, really consider you and stuff like that. So it was more of like in Auburn, like I knew the history. It was like could I get there? And so as the coaches showed more and more interest, and I kind of gained that experience and improvement in high school, I think it became a bigger and bigger option for me. So
nice. Yeah. So I have a couple questions. I will dig a little deeper now. In terms of y'all's training. So I'm a big like I love training philosophies. I'm big into different training philosophies. So I'm curious as to what y'all's like training. First off, like what your training is like by day throughout the week, if you guys have like a certain lineup. Yeah. And then I have another question. What would you say is, in college at least, your hardest, if you can recall, your hardest swim set you've ever done?
Ooh.
Okay. All right. The schedule is pretty easy because it's like so ingrained in me at this point. So Mondays are going to it'll be double. In the morning, it's kick and pull, usually speed focused on kicking. And then for distance guides, it's longer pulling, kind of threshold based. And then Monday nights will be threshold overload. So you'll hit a large chunk when your body's fresh coming off the weekend, trying to get that aerobic base and try to hit some speed too. Tuesdays are going to be max VO2. So fast as possible for as long as possible is what I like to say. And so those are the days. So you come off Monday and Tuesday, and you're feeling it, and you're not even midway through the week. So
Yep.
Wednesday morning is going to be for distance. It's cord, so we'll do resistance training and another kick set, and then our sprint and mid guys will do power stuff and detail work with like explosiveness off the blocks, explosive turns, stuff like that. Wednesday afternoon is going to be recovery. Thursday is back, so you get that day in the middle to kind of deload, and then you got Thursday as another threshold overload day, a little bit heavier on overload. So you're going to try to hit that speed at the end of the week, just like kind of mimicking the way meets are towards the end of the week. Friday morning is another resistance, so it's cords and this time pulling, and then it's the same power sets for our mid and sprint guys. And then Friday afternoon stations, all different types of things covering pace, kicking, detail work with like dives and stuff, recovery, those just kind of in between. And then Saturday mornings are usually team challenge sets. So you walk in and it could be anything that whatever. Sometimes it's recovery. If we had a really good week and then, there's a recruiting weekend and the coaches can tell our bodies are real broken down. But yeah, so those can be, you walk in and you don't know what you're going to hit on a Saturday sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, surprise Saturdays. Like I think we had at OBU, we had something not nearly as similar, but like it would just be, they put you in for like anything they wanted, like literally not anything, but I swam like a lot of my event lineups whenever I was training. And I was just kind of like, yeah, just go up and like basically we did like a whole meet like on a weekend.
It's like a mock meet?
Kind of. It was more so like we did like all the way up to like a preset, and then they're just kind of like, all right, now go race. And I'm like, oh, I was not ready for that. No.
Jeez. That's interesting. Surprise Saturday though. That sounds fun, but also a little scary. I would be. Yeah.
I feel like if you're a sprinter, you're like in more fear. Maybe.
We have a rainbow set. It's pretty long. Those days are pretty hard. That one comes up pretty frequently on Saturdays, and there's 2 versions of it for challenge set. But we'll also do, sometimes it's lactate. Sometimes it's in the past, we'll do 8-1s on like 8 minutes, but the distance guys alternate 100s and 200s. So you'll start out, or like 200s, 100s. So those get pretty tough.
Yeah.
And then like it just alternates on the day. I think some Saturdays when we get into kind of postseason or taper meets, we'll also start doing broken swims, like you're saying, not mock meets, but we'll start doing suiting up and putting together swims, trying to execute race strategy and then execution on details. So I think it does vary, or in the earlier season it varies more than it does later on. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and broken swims are like super satisfying. Like just kind of remembering like back on like the fond memories I do have of those. I thought they were fun memories, but I also did not have to do I didn't have to do 50s. I did 100s most of the time.
Yeah. And those are, man, I really like them. I think they're the coolest thing because you can kind of track I think they're the best in terms of executing race strategy. I think that's the coolest part.
Yeah, I think it adds up to like almost simple math where it's like, oh, this is what the potential of what I can do. And they give you the confidence to know that you could likely pull it off in a meet.
Right.
Are you more of a puller or a kicker in terms of training?
I'd like to think in college I've gotten better at both. I used to be more of a puller, and now my kick has come along. But I still think I prefer pulling. That's what I'm kind of better at. And so,
I'm like,
I would have, if I were to make a wild guess, I would have said pulling. I think for at least most distance swimmers. Because y'all are doing much more pulling in your races than 6-beat kicking. So, but
it's getting there slowly but surely. I feel like the mark that mid-distance swimmers are setting kind of at like the highest level or involving, like you have to actually start going above and beyond. And I mean, like a good example of that was obviously you were in that championship final in the 500 and just seeing yourself and then who else was in there and seeing now like this is where the threshold is. This is where you have to be to race.
Yes. I mean, I always tell, like, it's hard, like we were telling the freshmen this, me and Michael were earlier, in the season, we were like, the 500 in high school, it doesn't feel like a sprint. In college, it feels like a sprint. Like, at least for distance guys, that's on the mile. But at this point, the 500 is like, it's an all out, not an all out go, but it feels like that at times, especially at those big meets. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially compared to like a mile, like it essentially is a sprint event of the distance events. So
yeah,
and it's gotten so fast, like you're just going, like
yeah,
it is such a fast race now. The times just keep getting pushed. So yeah. I totally understand that. So
I think back to I didn't answer the heart of that question.
Oh yeah.
I think if I'm remembering correctly, freshman year, just in terms of how I was like in shape wise and where I was swimming wise, that was pretty tough training wise because I had to take a shift in training. But I remember New Year's we did 22 500s, and I walked out of that practice. I barely walked out.
What?
After that?
22?
It was 22. Yeah, it was 2022, so we got to do 22 500s.
I think I just died right here hearing that.
Yeah, man.
What?
No, it was. Yeah, it was. It's one of those sets you look back and you're like, man, I'm so proud of myself for completing that. But I drove home that day because it was New Year's and I'm only 2 hours away, so I went to see my family. But I was stuck in the driver position before I could get out of my car. I was like, oh, I can't move. Like, this is.
Oh my god, 20.
Wait, what were they on?
It was. I mean, I can't remember the intervals. It wasn't like the intervals wasn't necessarily the hardest part. It was, but you had a few. I think you had like two or three warm up, and then we started doing these like series of 1 recovery, 2 threshold, 1 build to overload, 1 overload, and it would be like.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, it was.
I thought 100 hundreds was bad. I think this might have beat 100 hundreds.
No, this is a different kind of. That's a canon event. That is a legit canon event right there.
Yeah, and so you talk about the brotherhood. If I go through that with Michael and Grant and I are freshmen, and we're watching, and Michael's kind of leading the way, and we're like, all right, I guess this is what it's like. So.
Yeah, it's like yeah. Well, welcome to college.
Jeez. Well, yeah. At least you have like a good group of guys to go through sets like that with.
Yeah.
That's just.
I mean, you need that. You absolutely need that.
Yeah, for sure. That is rough.
I do want to know, since we're on the topic of like getting into like distance swimming, what goes on in your head when you're swimming? Like, I always try to at least ask distance swimmers that. It's like, do you have songs in your head? Do you have are you counting?
I'm a song guy, and then I tend to, I'm like, I count my strokes a lot. Like, that's one of the things that I use as like a gauge of like speed and all the other factors. And so like sometimes I won't even be trying to, but I'll revert into counting my strokes because it keeps my mind occupied, but also not like, in a distance race, it's so easy if it's not going, like you watch people on the side, they're able to tell you what your pace is doing. So it's so easy to either get discouraged or get overconfident and start blasting too much. And so like, I kind of rely either on like a song or like even just counting my strokes, kind of rely on that rhythm. And then I am a little bit paying attention to the laps because of my race strategy. And I like to race, so I'm always paying attention to the other side or around the pool. I'm trying to look around. But a song or counting is always going on in the back of my head. It's kind of the theme of those races.
Do you have a specific song, if any?
I mean, it might sound crazy, but I like to listen to chill songs before I race. Like, I'm not trying to be super amped for a mile. And so like, yeah, I'm trying to think what song was before. It does shift because I'm really into music and a lot of my friends are, so we try to listen to a bunch of new stuff. I'm trying to remember what was in my head for the mile at NCAA's. I'm not gonna lie, I think it might have been a Zach Bryan song.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like just kind of like those a little bit up tempo but more chill than anything.
Yeah. So, I respect that. That's good taste. You know what? That's a new one too. That is a new one, but I like it. Yeah. That's interesting.
I feel like you get more like unique with like that, maybe that in the Midwest especially. I say Midwest. Oklahoma is like mid-south if anything, but
something like
I don't
that,
know. Similar taste. I don't know. As soon as he said chill, I don't know why I had this like vision of like the character Jean Girard from Ricky Bobby. He's like and he's just like
And then he's like basically bad guy.
yeah, like he's like he drives and he's like listening to like classic piano and he's like sipping tea and he's reading a book while driving, and that's just like kind of the image that I was getting.
That makes sense. Yeah, honestly, like that makes sense because I know like a lot of people like to get amped before their races, but I know some people will like get too caught up in their head because they're too amped. So like being chill is like a good move because you're just like, you've done the training, you know what to do, you kind of just go in and do it. So like that's honestly like that's a power play, like not gonna lie. So yeah, I don't know, I don't have anything. Jonathan, do you have any?
I mean, so you've been your Alabama lifer for the most part, am I correct?
Right. All of it.
So, like, you've obviously grown up age group swimming, high school swimming. You swim at Auburn, so, like, obviously you didn't really have to leave the state to even swim in college. If you could describe Alabama swimming in one word, like, what would you try to, like, describe it as?
Ooh, that is a great question. Because it's not as big here as a lot of places. One word. I mean, I think one of the biggest things is probably community, I'd say, in Alabama, because there's kind of three major places where we have swim teams. You got Birmingham, which is where I was from, and so you got a few club teams there. You've got Huntsville, and that they have one big club up there, HSA, and a few other small ones. And then there's two clubs here in Auburn that are pretty big, and then even Mobile, CMSA. And so, like, other than that, there's kind of these small clubs, but it's a small enough state where everybody knows everybody. You go to the state meet, and you're talking to people you always race, you always see. And I think that's what's really cool. Like, I'm still friends with the guys that I know from my high school swimming days, and they're, you know, one of them's at NC State, and then Drew is a year behind me. We raced at state growing up. And so I think that is the community part. And it's cool because I have people I swam against here at Auburn high school that don't swim in college, but they're here at Auburn. And so they kind of, I got one of them actually came to our inter-squad meet yesterday and was watching. And so, like, I think it's just that. I think because it's not a huge population of swimming, it's not maybe the most competitive thing, or the most, like, big sport, or the biggest sport in Alabama, but I think community is pretty cool. And that's how we keep people in it, I think, is by having friendships and all the close club teams, and people learn to love it and enjoy it for that. So.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
I love that. Dude.
That sounds a little like Oklahoma swimming, doesn't it, Jonathan?
That's kind of what I was about to like get on, because like I mean I would say for like Alabama, as like it's a lot more. I would say maybe a little bit more populated. Like maybe like from an outside perspective, it would maybe seem like a lot more like sensible to say that. So since like Oklahoma, like we only have like the two regions. We have Tulsa and Oklahoma City, and it's just the people who like. Everybody knows everybody, right. And I think just even in any swim environment, no matter what, like that's always a positive.
Of course, yeah,
for sure.
You know, positive. Everybody goes out. Well, not everybody went out to like the pasta dinners together, but at least like teams did, and like that's like the atmosphere that like you want to like maybe bring to a pool deck. Not
not
the food on the pool deck part, but like the everybody's having a great time.
Yeah, the sport's too hard to not enjoy life outside of it. So
absolutely,
that's so true,
for sure. Well, speaking of the inter squad meet, I did want to ask, like, how was that? How did y'all do? Which team won? Because I know y'all probably
Orange team.
All right,
there you go.
Yeah, I saw a highlight and it was like on the because they really the results haven't really been posted anywhere. So like the only scoop I could have gotten on it was through Auburn's Instagram, and then seeing like. 1,000 and I'm like, yeah, that's my guy right there.
I actually didn't swim it yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Grant did. Grant
did? All right.
Care of business. He was on the orange team too, so we had a representative. But
nice.
I swam 2 free, 5 free, and 1 fly. So I was just mixing it up. Yeah, having a little bit of fun. Dude, it's cool. It's fun to be a senior, you know, you kind of get the trust down, and then you can experiment every now and then.
Absolutely, yeah. That is the fun part about senior year. You can kind of just like go on little side quests and do different things for fun.
Side quests are.
Way to put it.
They're
Well, I do have another question that came up in my mind. Kind of bouncing off like senior year and stuff. So it's like your last year. do you have a fifth year? No, you're my year, so no fifth year, which sucks. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But so I did want to ask, you don't have to tell any like swim time specific goals. That's personal. I understand that, but in terms of like, I guess maybe within like your part on the team or like a team as a whole, what would be like some 1 or 2 goals you would have for your senior year, either being like I said, for the team, for yourself, for the team, like what like, I guess, goals would you say you have for senior year, kind of to wrap up your swim career?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think kind of what the senior class and we're obviously so close. There's 7 of us, including a diver. I mean, we kind of came in as freshmen with this new staff, and we've kind of seen the program improve, and we've been along this whole path for the past few years, and so it's been awesome to be a part of. And now it's like we've been slowly chipping away at our advances toward Florida and the SEC. You know, like we're trying to win championships again. So I think if we're looking at like actual swim goals, it's to chip away. I mean, now we're going to have to chip away at Texas too, but to chip away on those point differentials at the big meets at SECs, at NCAAs against those top teams, and to get into that next tier of teams talked about. So, you know, they've got like top 1 through 5 in NCAAs, and you've got 6 through 10. So to be in that next conversation of probably 6th through 10th, and constantly being there, I think those are great team goals, and that I think those are what our team is bought in for. And so as a senior personally, I mean, I want to contribute as best as I can. I've only scored in 2 events. I would like to score in 3 at NCs maybe. And so I think those are pretty good. Like those are in terms of my like individual, how I can help the team swimming wise. Same with SECs, kind of improve my placement each year. And probably, I think for me personally, I got to swim better in finals. I want to swim better in finals. I can get into those big heats, and that's what I've been working on a lot. You got to learn how to swim fast in the morning to collect the points at night, but now trying to do both and trying to swim fast at night and learn how to race those guys and get up again. So that's probably another goal of mine. But I think too, as a senior class, looking at it and like looking at our team and having all those other smaller swim goals in mind, is to kind of transition all the knowledge that we've had. Like, and we still have a couple 5th years. Michael's a 5th year. We got Logan, Rusty, and Ryan Husband. Those are I think the 4 5th years we have on our team. Like all of us are trying to share what we've learned throughout this process of chasing a goal and chasing greatness and all these other teams, and then the closeness and community or brotherhood that we have found and made, and kind of being able to teach that to all the younger guys and leave kind of a legacy in a sense. Like Auburn is known for its legacy. We're a blue blood in swimming just because of how the history that we have here. So we want to be able to leave the team better than we found it. And so kind of share those tips and tricks. Maybe we can help the freshman distance swimmers specifically, like get and figure out those improvement curves that it took me, Michael, and Grant, Drew a little bit longer to figure out. So maybe we can get them ahead of the curve. And the same thing with all the sprint guys. And we got our IMers, breaststrokers, all the seniors are trying to share those little tiny things that we figured out and took us a while. It's like, okay, here you go. Like, can we make the shift faster now? And so I think there's that. And then just, like you say, building the brotherhood, like keep it going. I don't know. Every year, I mean, I remember with my other upperclassmen, it's like we came in as freshmen and we loved that senior class. Like we absolutely loved that team. Like those are the coolest guys. Those were like, we want to be these dudes. And now it's like we are, and we're like, we're never going to live up to their name. Like, how can we be that? And so not really trying to live up to their name in the sense that we're like being them, but being them in our own way, just trying to be good seniors for the rest of the team. So.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a really this is going to be an awesome season. And I believe like you guys have everything that you can to at least get you through and do the best. Like we're looking forward obviously to watching that. And I imagine you guys are going to kill it like as best you possibly can. So we only got
I'm a big Auburn fan now.
Yeah. You might have just sold us on that.
Yeah, for real.
I'm glad, dude. Like I said, I love talking about Auburn.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been watching, like, obviously like I said, I'm a swim nerd, so I know all about the Auburn history, but like the last couple of years, y'all have been just coming up, and I'm just like, okay, I like this. Like, I would love to see y'all get back to the top again. It would be so fun to watch, and y'all are doing it. Like, you're actively doing it, so I'm so excited to watch it. So, yeah, I can't wait to cheer y'all on this season. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a blast.
And obviously,
Thank you.
we got like a few months, obviously, till nationals. Things just picking up. Obviously, you guys had your first meet yesterday. Is there any like specific meet outside of SEC and nationals, like a dual meet that you're looking forward to participating in?
Oh, the Bama duel meet always.
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
The rivalry runs deep. It's all.
There
it's
you
our
go.
senior meet too. So.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, man. And it's at Auburn, so it's.
Ooh,
There you
I
go.
love
That's even better.
That's the meet, man.
Yeah, you guys got home court advantage. There you go.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
pool,
that's
I
fun.
will say, is like, I had a I can't remember, like, you remember when Samsung had like made those like the VR headsets that you stuck your phone into?
Yeah. Yep.
Specifically outside of the Rio Olympics, like that aquatic center, Auburn's was the only other one you could see. So like you could stick, like it would stick you on top of the diving board at that aquatic center. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah.
it's been like in preparing for this, it reminded me just like, oh yeah, I like used to be able to just like go through that, and even then, like I don't know, maybe it's on meta or whatnot, but like beautiful aquatic center, beautiful team, beautiful atmosphere,
Absolutely.
and obviously like wishing all the best to you guys and everything that you got going on. Thank you again, Mason, for taking time out of your day for us.
Of course, thank you. I appreciate it. This was awesome. I love talking
Yeah,
about some. I love, some nerds. We're small, but there's not a lot of us. We love
Oh
it,
yeah,
so.
small
Absolutely,
in
man.
numbers, but obviously we're mighty in the power that we bring and the knowledge that we ingest in terms of the sport, this beautiful sport that is swimming.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, yeah. Like you said, best of luck this season. We'll be watching and cheering. Yeah, man, we can't wait to see what y'all do. So
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So yeah, for anybody who watched this, like I mean, we're on YouTube. I think we might try to get on Spotify and Apple Music. It's been something I've been looking forward to doing. We just actually put the steps in motion for that. But obviously, thanks for viewership, and we'll be back with more, better than ever, sooner rather than later. Thank you again. We out of here.